Well, on today's episode, we're doing something we haven't done since the Connor Stanley days, which are like over 10 years ago now. We're going to play with some wingers. Hello and welcome to part 169 of It's Coming Home. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have the first two games of our new Premier League season, away against Blackburn and then at home against champions Tottenham. Not only are we going to be playing with wingers today after the transfer window yesterday, we're also starting a season with good team cohesion for the first time in ages, even though we've changed the tactic. What a difference not doing loads of transfers makes. For those of you who missed the transfer special, it was possibly the most sensible one I've ever done. We had a net transfer profit. We have seen some of our stars leave. Ricardo's gone for £70 million, Herrera for £10 million, Dianzi for £50 million, Kano for £20 million. But we've brought in a couple of wingers, a new striker, a bunch of youth players. We've basically set ourselves up for the future and to try a new tactic starting now. So this is the new tactic that we're going to be using. It should look very familiar to those of you who've been watching the England series, to those of you who watched Non-League to Legend this year, even to those of you who were around back when we were using wingers back in the Connor Stanley, Ben Cottrell days. It's basically that tactic tweaked slightly. So we're going with Powell in goal, a back four of Candemil, Sands, Lee and Mayer, with Zupancic and Alves in midfield, Duric, Costa and Flager supporting Akamo up front. Akamo needs to score today or Mira's just going to be straight in. It was a bit of a coin toss between those two. Costa obviously is going to be our regular starter. The midfield I'm still not sure on yet, 'cause we've still got Cristiano and Yamin who can fight. We've got four very good midfield players fighting for two spots if we stick with this system. Likewise, we've got new boy Beron who could come in for Sands at the back if two covering defenders doesn't work. Even though it has in the past for us, two covering defenders has been fine. Trying to be a little bit sensible now. We've got multiple wide players. We've got Candemil on attack, Duric on support, Flager on attack, Mayer on support. It makes sense to me. We'll see how it turns out. The one thing I think we've got missing from this is it would have been nice to have somebody capable of playing inside forward, but we'll pick our battles. For now, at least we've got some wide men. If this doesn't work, then we'll change things up. Go back to the diamond. Poor old Flager, who we've just spent £53 million on, would just move him along quickly and pretend he didn't exist. He had a good season last year, but he's really the only one. Duric is here on loan, so there's not a huge risk if this doesn't work. The biggest risk is the fact we couldn't fit Rodriguez into the Premier League squad again, so he's probably going to be going back out on loan this time to Valencia. And obviously if we hadn't have signed wingers, Rodriguez would have been in as an extra striker option for the diamond if that's what we end up using. So I'm hoping the 4-2-3-1 works. If we get a bad injury to Flager or Duric early on, it ain't going to work, because our backup then would pretty much be Akamo, because the other two, Kano and Rodriguez, not available. So Akamo is our backup winger on both sides. We have got a couple of youngsters who could potentially play out there, but even if this 4-2-3-1 looks like a world beater, we're not going to be able to play it every game all season just because we don't have the personnel to be able to do it just yet. So there is going to be some flitting back and forth between this system and the diamond as appropriate. I mean, that's going to be a way to keep the midfielders happy as well. I think if we do decide we're sticking with this system, we probably need to lose one of those four central midfielders, partly to make way for a youngster and partly just because there's not a chance of keeping the four of them happy. But we've got off to a good start. Robert Costa, our top scorer from last year, has got himself off the mark for this year as well. If we're only playing with one striker, we are expecting another big year from Costa. I mean, to be fair, Kano only got 5 goals last year, so he doesn't need to step up that much. If he gets 15, 20 goals again, and then I think we should probably be okay as long as the players around him are performing to the standards that we would expect. And like I say, Akamo is getting this one chance, else Mira is straight in. And I think Mira's probably going to be in sooner rather than later anyway. But I wanted to give Akamo a fair crack of the whip. Costa with the corner doesn't beat the first Blackburn defender. Lee collects and plays it back to Mayer. Forward to Alves. Sands now. Back to Alves. Alves, this is a big test for him playing further forward than he ever really has in his career. Zupancic now from range, and it goes just over from Zupancic. We're looking good. Blackburn haven't had a shot yet. We've had 67% of possession for the first 35 minutes of this half, but Candemill has just given the ball away there, and we need to win this back and pronto. This is where not having a defensive midfielder can be a problem, but between Zupancic and Alves, they dealt with that comfortably, and it's a Camo. No striker options ahead of him, so plays it out to Meyer. Meyer to Alves. Finds Flager. This is our first chance to have a proper look at him. He plays Meyer in. Cross comes over towards Akamo. Doesn't find him. And it's back with Alves again. And we seem to be recycling the ball really rather well in this system. And there's Juric off the mark on his debut. On loan for the season from Paris Saint-Germain. He was on loan at Newcastle last year. And I'd like to think if he does look like he's going to be the answer to some of our problems, he's a player we can secure with a permanent deal shortly after Christmas-ish is what I'm looking for. Did we agree a future fee? I don't even remember if we did. I don't think we did. No future fee, which is a bit of a problem. But we'll just, if we end up selling Yamin, for example, we can reinvest the money there. Or Rodriguez, if we end up selling him, although now the window's closed, it's more likely that he's going to be going out on loan, which is far from ideal for a player who was third top scorer in Serie A last year and is currently valued at £48 million and can't get in our squad, but it's too late to sell him. Just a smidgen of an oversight there. The fact that we've had that issue with our Premier League squad, I hate to think what our Champions League squad is going to look like. But don't forget as well, it's a little bit different from past issues like this that we've had, because there's probably a good 6 to 8 under 21s, certainly for the Premier League squad, who can be part of this team. The likes of Mira, Aleph, Essa, there's Mendes. There's quite a few who aren't even part of that squad, but they'll play. They'll get their fair share of games. So although we've officially only got a 22-man Premier League squad, it's nearer 30 when you factor in the youngsters. But not all of those youngsters are going to be able to play in the Champions League. So it might be another tough year in the Champions League. But Juric already looking like a decent signing. His second of the game. Zupancic picking up the assist, and it's Blackburn 0, Holme 3 on 55 minutes, and we are looking very, very good. The one sort of black cloud is that Akamo not having a very good game at all. There's Ruiz Carrillo. Is that him? The fella who was with us last year, who we couldn't get on loan again? It is, because Barcelona apparently wanted to give him a try in their first team. They've loaned him out to Blackburn. Ridiculous. He would have been perfect to have on, although to be fair, he wouldn't have got in the squad either because he's also not under 21. So it would have been the same situation as Rodriguez. But still, ridiculous that they wouldn't let us have him back, but they've sent him to Blackburn, not a Champions League team. Don't understand that at all. Right, can we make some changes? We're going to get Mira on up front for a Camo. Flager struggling on his debut, so let's see what Manu can do out. We haven't paused the game. Let's see what Manu can do out on the right-hand side. I suspect not a lot, but we may as well have a little look. And this is where we just... In fact, forget that. But then we have to take Juric off as well. I was thinking switch to the diamond, but we can't really at the moment. Can Juric play on the right-hand side? No. Can Sakwa play on the right-hand side? No. This is the problem we're going to have because of the strength in depth in these wide areas. Right, we're going to praise them because they are playing very well. I mean, Manu might end up looking awesome on this right-hand side. Got to give him the opportunity to. In real life, if a player can play in the number 10 position, then he can probably play on the right-hand side of a 3 as well. But obviously in Football Manager, it's not quite that simple. He's got no proficiency at all for playing as a right winger, which means he'll be awful every time he's out there, even though it's not that different from the position he's been so good in for so long. Candemill now plays the ball forward to Juric, back to Candemill again. Candemill with someone to overlap for the first time in his home career. It's a lovely cross, really stretching the goalkeeper, but Manu can't quite get there to challenge him, and the highlight continues for some reason. It's with Alves now to Costa, who's come very deep to pick the ball up, but he's got options ahead of him. Finds Candemill. Candemill and Juric getting on top of each other a little bit there. Perhaps, I mean, this is why we need an inside forward to really make this system work. We want Juric about here rather than out there. They're occupying the same kind of spaces, and we know Candemill can quite comfortably look after that on his own. Alves now trying to play Meyer in. See, Manu has tucked inside on this side, because it's more natural for him to do it. Candemill now has taken the option to come inside, finds Djuric, Zupancic, back out to Candemill, cross comes over, doesn't find a home shot, but Candemill wins it back, finds Mira, who turns beautifully, couldn't get the shot away, but causes enough trouble for it to bobble out to Costa, who gets his second of the game. Mira did brilliantly with this little turn in the area. Looking forward to seeing this on the replay. So Candemill played it in, there's Mira, this is the turn coming up now. That was superb, but their tackle was just as good. But Costa's there to tuck it away. It's 4-1 now with 10 minutes to go, and that should be that. Let's have a look. Fitness-wise, is there another change that needs to be made? I kind of want to get Cristiano into things. We'll bring him on for Alves. And do we swap those two over? No one really wants to play in this box-to-box midfielder role, but I don't want them to be a Mazzala or a Carrilero. They're the two options I usually use with these midfielders, because I don't want them drifting wide. As we've already seen, it sounds like I'm thinking about my tactic. I apologise, I am still a bumbling idiot. But I want those two midfielders to stay in the middle. We've got lots of people out wide now. The area where we're short is in the middle, so I want them staying central. So they're just going to have to learn to be up and down just in the middle without drifting into wide areas. It shouldn't be that complicated. Again, similar situations with Manu. Shouldn't be that hard to adapt, but it will, because it's Football Manager, take a little bit of time just to get them used to playing the way I want them to play in this new system. But even without it being perfect just yet, it's looked very, very effective. Blackburn have been a good team in recent years, and we've made them look very, very poor today, and can't really complain about that at all. The real bonus is the fact they're playing a 4-4-2, which traditionally has been a system that we've really struggled against with that diamond, because obviously we've always ended up getting outnumbered in those wide areas, but we've prevented that from happening. We've overloaded their fullbacks at times, and with Costa in there as well, we've outnumbered them in the midfield. So as long as there's a striker good enough to occupy two centre-backs, we kind of have men over everywhere else on the pitch. And although Akamo and Mira haven't picked up goals for themselves, they've both been enough of a nuisance to do exactly that, creating a lot of space for Costa and Djuric behind them. And that was a fantastic performance. Do I sound positive enough yet? That was awesome. If we can now go and do that to Tottenham as well, I'll start to believe that this might be the year that it all comes together. A little bit of transfer news before the Tottenham game. Rodriguez has gone out on loan to Valencia. He's got a £24 million future fee agreed as well. If we get that for him, I'll be quite happy. We paid next to nothing. He is a proven goal scorer in Serie A. If he goes and does it in La Liga as well, we might give him another go next year if we've got a squad spot for him. But just couldn't fit him in this year. No way to fit him in, says the guy who bought Sakwa, and still isn't really sure how. I kind of bought him for the diamond. I mean, he's not someone I want to be playing up front on his own necessarily. He'll be awesome. Guarantee he'll be awesome, because I've got doubts about him. So just the one change for this game. Candemill picked up an injury. Aleph still not fit to play. He's clearly not played enough games in pre-season. So Beron comes in. Sands moves out to left back. Not ideal, because we've got Aleph, and I don't want to continue to play Sands at left back when we've got Aleph. But we'll bring him on halfway through the game. It'll be fine. So we're facing Tottenham, last year's runaway champions. It wasn't even close last year. Pick up where you left off last time out. That seems like a reasonable instruction to give. So, in my other capacity as England manager, there are a number of my England players to keep an eye on in this game. Williamson in particular. Usually they have one of the Thompsons out on the left wing, but he is clearly not available at the moment. So in actual fact, it's only really Williamson that we're having a look at. Is that Smith? Is he? He's my Tom Smith, isn't he? So there's him as well. The one who scored the goals in the summer. So those two will definitely be part of my next England squad. Williamson, I'm kind of hoping he has an off day today, but he's still in his prime for another year and a half to get us through the World Cup. I guess we'll have a look in this game to see if that's the case. We've not been quite so devastating against Tottenham as we were against Blackburn. None of this 70% possession, 20 odd shots stuff that we had in that game. But we're not losing yet against a team that utterly dominated the Premier League last year. So coming out of this game not losing would be absolutely fine. We've been the better team. Yeah. I mean, we've marginally maybe haven't really, have we? It's been very even. You could make an argument for it either way. it's going to... I think this might be the last chance for Akemo. I think Mira probably needs to come on, even on the hour mark, actually. Let's get Mira on. We've got to work out who our striker is going to be in this system. Watch it end up being Sakwa. Watch him be an absolute superstar in this system, even though I bought him for the other one. Flager, again, struggling to... I mean, we've spent 53 million on him and basically built a tactic around him. Struggling to perform within it. So, looks like it's Manu out on the left wing, on the right wing again. Watch that become Manu's position and then become a hero out there. Let's have 10 minutes of passion. And Powell holds on to that well. And can we get a little counter-attack going here? It's with Maya. Maya plays it forward to Manu. Manu charging down the right wing the way only Manu can. Mira doesn't manage to get onto the end of it, though. Trying to put some pressure on the keeper, but it was very half-hearted. And Sands, with a poor header, puts Zupancic under pressure, but Maya deals with it. It ends up back with Powell, who finds Manu again back on this right-hand side, who this time cuts inside, looking for Djuric. Djuric has been quiet today, but cross comes over. I think he was looking for Manu again. It was too long for Mira, and now Tottenham coming at us, but Beron intercepts, and it's with Manu. Again, Manu's getting a lot of ball time here. Beautiful pass for Djuric, and it's 1-0 to home on 72 minutes. Djuric, a third goal of the season for him, and Manu looks like he might be able to play on this right wing. This has been another good performance out on the right-hand side from Manu. We need to get him training there, and pronto. Imagine, after all this time, with Chernyshov and then with Costa, all these men have come in to try and steal Manu's spot. He was one of our first signings when we hit the Premier League. If he can reinvent himself as a winger, he might yet still be in the team when we hit that Champions League final, whenever that may be. I'm just looking in terms of who the longest serving players are. It's got to be either Manu or Sands, and I think Manu was here before Sands. Right, Maya, he's on a yellow card, not playing great, so Vandy can come on to make his debut on that right-hand side, and fingers crossed we can hold on. If we manage to win both matches on the first episode of the season, that's unheard of. This tactic might have something to say for itself. Smith in midfield to Tottenham, trying to get something going, but we're putting them under so much pressure. It's gone all the way back to their keeper. They've got 10 seconds to find an equaliser. Manu misses out on the header there because apparently playing on the wing doesn't make him any taller. But Alves just keeps hold of the ball. He's looking good in central midfield. And we've just beaten Tottenham, boys and girls. An unbeaten 100% winning start to the Premier League season so far. It's the sort of thing we could have only have dreamt of for the last few years with all the transfer upheaval we've had. Who knew that doing fewer transfers and fiddling with the tactic and doing the thing we should have been doing all along was the answer. Right, we will be back tomorrow with what's going to be first, Champions League or England. It's probably going to be an England episode tomorrow. 2 World Cup qualifiers, Austria and Latvia, and then we'll be back the day after, back with home for the start of the Champions League campaign. Whether it's that game or maybe Man United in that game, that really depends on what the draw looks like and how interesting it is. We might come back for Man United and the second Champions League game. We'll see. But we'll see you tomorrow for England anyway. If you have enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.